Merle, no! It's actually kind of sad when you think about that for a second. In this show, we've had mothers, wise old men, cherished characters who are good people, and yet it's the racist, drug-using, murderous, generally bad guy that the audience is most upset when they die and wish he survived. Lori dies, everyone was going, yeah, bitch, die! Get ready! Fuck you! Merle dies, people are like, oh no, not Merle. That is The Walking Dead, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we are back on the review show. We're here for the pre-season finale, I guess you would call it. For season 3, it is this sorrowful, I cannot speak today. This Sorrowful Life. And of course, the title, this is a Merle-centric episode. Actually, we've kind of been having that in the past couple episodes. Last week was an Andrea-centered episode. This week's a Merle-centered episode. Of course, the big difference is this is Merle's unfortunate, spoiler alert, final episode. Well, maybe. He can come back as a hallucination. He's been a hallucination before. It's really sad to see this guy go, or this character go. He's a fun character to have on this show, but I will say this. The one thing I was going to actually criticize this week, I actually was going to criticize it last week, but you know, as I've stated in a couple other videos, I'm sorry I missed the past 2 weeks doing reviews. The one I actually flat out missed due to work, and the other one I was just dead sick and did not want to do. I basically just went to sleep right after the show was over. Ironic to use the word dead sick. I wanted to actually talk about this because it seems this season they've been really unwilling to kill any characters, major characters that we've kind of used to. We've kind of whittled down to this core group, and now they've become untouchable, almost. You know, they got rid of T-Dog, who's probably the most expendable of the characters, and then they gave us a bunch of convicts, which they then killed off rather quickly. They lasted a couple episodes and then died. You know, it's not like they stayed. And you know, one of the great things about the first 2 seasons of The Walking Dead was it was a show where anyone could die at any time. There was really a threat you constantly felt with, is this person going to make it? Is that person going to make it? I don't know. They'd kill off major characters when it's not even a season finale. And I'm kind of glad they're willing to do that. I mean, you want a show that's going to pull those punches and just, you know, hit you with like the, oh, it's one of the reasons why I like the Game of Thrones, just because it pulls no punches with who's dying. It's just, this week this person dies. Yeah, it's the second episode in, but fuck it, he's dead. And that's what I like about this show. As for that, though, I'm glad we get to see him redeemed. Out of all the characters, we've never really seen a full redemption done. It's amazing. Merle has that wonderful little moment where he's driving and he's talking with Michonne, and he kind of really truly self-reflects on himself, realizes what he's doing. I think it's strange. He seems to actually connect the most with Michonne, and perhaps in reality he's really, you know, we've talked about how Rick is possibly a reflection, or the governor is a reflection of Rick, or a path that Rick might be going down. In fact, that's outright addressed in this episode. I'll get to that in a little bit. But in a lot of ways, perhaps Michonne and Merle are reflections of one another. Merle could have been like Michonne a bit. Instead, he kind of went down his path to that harmed others. He became a tool for other people. And so he could be like the dark reflection of Michonne. And perhaps he recognized that. It is one of those things where you can see in these kind of scenarios, you see your reflection and you go, is this the person I want to be? And a lot of times that helps. In this case, we had Rick saw what the governor was, recognized that he was becoming like him, and he was the dark reflection, and he's kind of at the end, he's ended the dictatorship. which is a shame because I love that term dictatorship. And this one, Merle, as he's talking to Michonne, driving her back, he really saw the reflection of what he could have been, that he's seen that he's taken a bad path and that others have not stooped to his level, and that he is the bad guy, and should he be doing this stuff? And so he decides to, instead being the lackey, someone doing this, he's going to be the dirty laundry, but he's going to try to be, the hero. He's going to try to go out. I'm not sure if he was confident he'd get away with his little attack on the governor's meeting. That is one up for debate. Whether he thought, maybe deep down he thought he could actually pull this whole thing off, that he could kill the governor and slip away. Maybe. Or maybe even deeper down he realized this was a suicide mission, but it's the only thing he could do to fix himself. Or to make things right. It certainly diffuses a lot of the tensions, because, Glenn, which, by the way, yay, Glenn's gonna get married, and we'll have to get into that in just a tad. That's another thing. Once we get the Merle stuff out of the way, we'll hit up the other two things that happened. But it's obviously those things weren't going away. Ironically, it seemed like Michonne and Merle were actually kind of very willing to let bygones be bygones a bit. At least she kind of understood. Maybe she saw that. Maybe, as I said that about that idea of reflection, that she kind of maybe saw a little bit that, if I'd been pushed a little bit other ways, like it was implied that she's gone through abusive relationships and such, and that she might have become like Merle, that she wasn't as far away. Maybe she saw that, and that's why she kind of, at the end, was a little bit more, as he was talking to her, understood where Merle was coming from. Because we really don't know too much about Michonne's past. I don't know if in the later comics we find out more details about her past, but there's such a difference between the comics and the TV show. You can't be sure, especially when you don't have Merle's not even in the comics. So perhaps that's why she was more willing to forgive what Merle was doing, and she really understood what he was up to, because maybe she deep down was tempted to do the same thing, or would have tempted to follow his path. But regardless, he goes out in a completely badass way. He, gets drunk, gets the fucking zombie horde to follow him as he's blasting his music, takes out several of the governor's men. I didn't recognize which ones he actually took out, if it was one of the top-ranking lieutenants or not. Ortiz. I didn't recognize that. But, of course, somehow, they catch him. They get around to him, and the governor, of course, has that fight, and he bites off his fingers. He bites off two of Merle's fingers. My God, man, that man cannot hold on to his hand. Which I don't understand how that would work physically. It's really hard to bite off a human finger. It is not easy to do. It shouldn't have been that easy. I think it takes a little bit more effort than that to bite off a human hand or a human finger. But he did that, and poor Merle. They also don't even shoot him in the head. They shoot him in the body. They talked about this on The Talking Dead, which that's almost like the ultimate betrayal, or in this universe, the ultimate fuck you. That you let someone turn into a zombie, and you let them become a walker, and let them walk. I think they in the show they were more implied that they were making him so his brother would have to kill him. I don't think they were certain how. I think that was just the ultimate punishment in that world, is to let somebody become a walker. Don't kill them. Don't give them a proper burial. They're just going to be the walking corpse. So that's certainly significant. I think that's certainly going to be a motivator. It'd be curious if they do kill the governor. Maybe that's what they're going to do to him. That they might just, like, at the end, have him shoot him, and not shoot him in the head, and just have him turn into a zombie, and just leave him be a zombie. Don't even kill him as a zombie. Just leave him on the field as he walks off into, like, the distance as a walker. That would be a really good end for him. I think in universe, just go yeah, we would never get satisfaction that he was dead as a zombie even, but I think it's like the character "fuck you," that's like the ultimate one. That's just me. Then of course we had poor Daryl. Of course, finds his brother, finds him as the Walker, and is forced to put him down really, really violently in the face. Uh, nice to see. Good. Nice to see some good emotions come from the actor there. Um, it's a heartfelt scene. You kind of really feel that that love was genuine. Maybe we didn't get a whole lot of understanding. If anything, I think last season we got a better understanding of their relationship and why they stick with each other. We got a few moments like when Daryl takes his shirt off and he sees Merle sees the whip marks and understands that his father abused him just as much as he abused himself. So yeah, we get that understanding that they came from a very violent household, and that's why they stick so close together. It's going to be interesting to see how Daryl pulls through from this. It's going to be tough. In some ways, I don't think he's going to change that much. I think Merle not being around does decomplicate his life, although I think he's going to have a bit of a, maybe for at least the season finale, he's going to have a bit of a grudge. Like, he's going to want to kill the governor. As, at this point, a lot of people do. But that's going to be the interesting thing to look back at the season finale is what is Daryl's reaction to all this going to be. That's the thing to keep an eye out. It's nice to see, I guess, Michonne has now become a full-fledged member of the group. Like, even the group now acknowledges that. The other big thing, of course, that happened is Glenn and Maggie got married, I guess. It was kind of a very weird... Like, he doesn't even, like, propose or put the ring on her finger. He just kind of puts it in her hand, and she's like, yes. Like, I get her part, but him's like... You're not even gonna try to do the finger thing. Like, put the ring on her finger. Don't just slap it in her. Like, hey, marriage. Like, come on, man. You could have worked out a little better. I guess in part we can blame the director on that one. If you agree with me and that wasn't, you would have liked him to do something a little bit more traditional. Make him, if anything, I think they should have maybe done somewhat of a ceremony. Some sort of, he doesn't have to be exactly like a church, but like in front of the group, like the group acknowledges that they are now man and woman, husband and wife. I think they should have done that. It would have made, I think that would have been a better scene. That they actually tried to make this a moment for the group even to celebrate. Because you figure at least Herschel and his daughter there, and Maggie's sister would want to, like, okay, fully officially welcome to the family, Glenn. You're now our son-in-law and our brother-in-law. I'm just saying, that's what I would like. It's going to be interesting to see how this now affects their relationship going forward. Now that they are actually married. I don't know, I forget again if they got married in the comics. It's been a while, and I didn't read that many of them. So I don't know if they got married in the comics. If they did, maybe that would give you some hints. If not, we'll see. Or, who knows? Maybe next episode they got married, and now that is going to be taken away, where maybe one of them is going to die. Food for thought. The other big thing is the ending of, and this is of course made the big comparison on the philosophical or the literary level or the academic level, a comparison of the two groups. At the end of last season, Rick declared that this was no longer a democracy, the group, and the producers called it the Ricktatorship, which sparked a couple of internet memes, and I love them. They're funny. But now we have him, Rick, ending the Ricktatorship. He kind of gives that meaning. He kind of explains, the governor made me this offer. I made this decision without telling any of you, and we can't do this. One, you saw the stress throughout this entire season as it built onto Rick, and he just completely lost it. He's not able to handle this type of stress of being this one-man rule, and I think the only way you can, well, maybe not the only way you can, but one of the ways of doing that would to become like the governor. And of course, that's what I talked about earlier about reflections, how Rick is really, the governor's a reflection of Rick, how he could become, what power can do, and this is basically, there's been a lot of parallels between the two groups, and eventually you're seeing, what's the difference between these two groups? And I think Rick finally goes, what we're doing here and what I'm doing is basically what the governor's doing. So it's time for that to end. It's time for this to stop being a dictatorship, stop for me running everything, and really make this a group effort again. Because me running things is not solving the problems. It's not fixing what people thought might have been the problem with, like, what Shane was going to do. And working as a group, that whole thing. So it's like kind of the ghost of Shane coming back. Shane actually would probably be the most similar to the governor. If he was around, he'd probably be like signing on up. So we see that whole thing, and it ends. So it's going to be interesting going forward. Maybe we're going to finally see Rick not completely stressed out, ready to snap, seeing, Ghost Lori running around. Maybe, I think the writers should definitely do that. You don't always have to give constantly building stress, constantly building stress, constantly building stress, constantly building stress on the character, because eventually you can't maintain that momentum. And it kind of loses the story. It's nice to give that character a break where we can see him relax, return to the old Rick for a little bit. You can give him new stresses later on, but have a bit of a recovery from this, mentally, as much of a mental reprieve you could get in the post-apocalypse. So we've had that addressed. It'll be nice to see how the group makes its decisions from now on. I hope they eventually wind up expanding the group, because we're not getting really, really thin. I think Tyrese and his group is it's gonna be interesting again to see what's gonna happen, because they know that that party is gonna wind up joining with Rick at some point. The question is Milton maybe gonna come along too? All that will probably be possibly explained in the season finale, which we've seen very little of. All we gotta know is this: there's finally gonna be a full frontal assault on the prison. And I can guarantee you someone's gonna die. There's no way no major character is gonna die in the season finale. It's not that type of show. Is it gonna be the governor, though? I don't know. Because some people have been saying the governor arc is going to continue into season 4. So that's making me go, ooh, maybe they won't kill him. That'll be very interesting if they stress this out. So I really don't know. We're going to probably see the big finale. We don't know if someone's going to die. If anyone dies on Rick's group, I'm going to be pulling for one, the baby, but I don't think they're going to do that. But considering the baby died in the comics, big possibility. The 2 and 3, Maggie and Glenn. They just got married. I think this is the type of show that, oh, look at these characters, they have a nice moment. Oh crap, one of them's gonna die. It is that type of show where somebody says something's going good for somebody. Death sentence. Rule 1: if you are in, the Walking Dead apocalypse, just be depressed and constantly have problems, because that's the best. That's the best guarantee of survival. Actually, have personal problems constantly and make sure they never get solved, and you will live on for eternity. So that's to be on the lookout for. So stay tuned for all that. G.I. Joe Retaliation. Expect that to be actually sooner than this weekend. I was looking up on Fandango. Apparently our theater near us is going to be having a bit of an early showing of that. So possibly actually Wednesday night you might see a review for that up, because apparently there's like an 8:50 showing around here, and I might run over and get me the tickets for that. I was certainly not expecting it to be that early of a showing, but hey, I'll take it. And that'll end March for us, and then we're into April, where we're going to have the remake of The Evil Dead, which I might have to run out and go watch the original again to just refresh myself. It's been a while. It's been years actually since I've seen the original too. Army of Darkness I have seen so many times I can probably quote the entire movie. But I'm trying to make these a little bit shorter, so we're going to try to make this only 20 minutes this time. If you enjoyed the review, please like, subscribe, spread the word, post in a forum, whatever. The more views, the happier, or the merrier, or the Merle. No, bad pun. Bad. I know. Signing off. Stay tuned, of course, for next week. Hasta luego.